Awesome. So hi everyone. My name is Sonya Barlow. I'm going to take you through personal branding plus Instagram. So it's personal branding on LinkedIn and Instagram. Let's hope this works. Cool. So a little bit about me before we get going. As mentioned, I am the founder of LMF Network CIC. We are a global not-for-profit social enterprise. Why personal branding is so important is because this enterprise started as a brunch club 2 years ago. So it was nothing more than brunch. It wasn't meant to be anything more than people just coming together and having a bit of avocado and scrambled eggs, talking about life and career and how to progress. The reason for that is because once I left university, I had absolutely no idea what to do. And I fell into the world of technology. And by falling, I mean I was just lucky enough to attain a job that was about an hour and 15 minutes drive away each day, but being kind of eager as I was like, yeah, perfect, gonna go into it. Turns out it was in the technology industry. Now, 5 years ago, tech was a slightly more lowlier place, and as a woman of color, as a brown woman, I didn't really see myself. And so this brunch club came about so that I could very much connect with others, talk about career progression and how to jump up in the world of work. 2 years later, I've now successfully quit my job in full-time tech and have launched my business globally. So we have engaged with tens of thousands of people in the last 2 years. We have a social following of over 11,000. We have delivered 110 workshops, 50 of them with global clients, and upskilled 2,000 people. Alongside that, I am a public speaker, run my own diversity and inclusion consultancy, have delivered 2 TED Talks, and am now launched 2 podcasts in the last 6 weeks. The thing that I really want to stress here is none of that would have been possible had I not started working on my personal brand. So my TED Talk, I didn't necessarily apply for. It was people that have seen me through LinkedIn, seen the great work I'm doing, who approached me and asked me if I'd be interested and took me on that journey with them. And so personal branding is very important, especially when you're coming out of university, because it enables you to understand more about yourself. It enables the other person to understand more about you. And most importantly, you are in a place of gaining opportunities, building a network, building your community, and therefore really going into that world of work strong. I'd encourage you to ask questions. Please do. Any question, no question is too silly, no question is too small. I have been through everything you're going through, graduated, had no clue what I'm doing. Times were not great in terms of the market. Found myself in a lack of confidence when I was going out applying for jobs. Even ended up taking a job for a couple of months, which was missold to me, that I barely talk about because it's not even worth it. But ultimately, I'm now building a network and opportunities to help you. So today we'll be talking about LinkedIn and Instagram personal branding. Both are very important. LinkedIn is the largest business and professional network out there, so you definitely have to be on it. And Instagram is, as we know, a curated feed, but again, some of you would like to build your personal brand on that, and it's just as important. 2019, I started the year kind of working and building my personal brand, so I didn't necessarily have one beforehand. Since that time, I've grown my LinkedIn from 200 connections to 7,500. I have grown my Instagram only in the last 4 months because I didn't have it beforehand. But what that has done is built in new opportunities and new work for me. And most importantly, it's defined the values that I live by. So that's the first thing I want to ask you, is when it comes to personal branding, what are your drivers? For those who don't know what drivers mean, it's technically the attributes that are putting you in full force forward. What are your drivers? What makes you you? What is it that you really want to focus on? If you have a pen and paper ready, please do start jotting things down. If you have your phone nearby, take some notes. Otherwise, take this workshop away and do it in your own time that is suitable. The first thing I'd want to ask is, what is your vision? Now, your vision is tomorrow. What do you want to do tomorrow? What do you want to do in your life? What do you want to do in the world? For example, my vision is to be the go-to public speaker in the world, right? At the age of 27, I can make statements like that. I have so much time and I have so much to play for. So that's my vision. That's my, like, what I want to do tomorrow. My mission is slightly shorter time period. So your mission is what you want to do today, i.e. what do you want to do within the next set time frame. And this set time frame should be in this next 6 to 18 months. So in 1 year, so in 2020, so we're using the full calendar year, in order to be the best public speaker, I need to go out and speak, right? So the goals were to deliver 20 corporate workshops, to deliver 4 keynotes, and to upskill 1,200 people. Now that's the mission of today. And the values that drive that are diversity, inclusion, business, tech, entrepreneurship, personal branding, confidence. Now my values, you can also interchange for culture, for ethos, for areas that you want to focus on. And that's extremely important. Now, as a fresh graduate, as somebody who's coming out of university, graduating, or has already graduated, I want you to do the same. So I want you to think, what is your vision? What is it you want to be known for in the world of work? Do you want to go into business? You want to run your own business? You want to go into marketing, graphic design, software engineering? Do you want to be a film producer? What is it? What is your big dream? Now take your big dream and put it into smaller chunks. In the next 1 year, in the next 2 years, where do you want to be? What do you want to focus on, right? And how are you going to get there? Your personal brand is definitely going to help you. And your value, what are your value drivers? The other reason why this is so important is because it will help you when you go into interviews, and it will help you when you are talking to hiring managers, to interviewers, and to those who really want to give you an opportunity. And you can give them all of this information. Remember, this is your time. Please do ask questions. Please do share your advice, your thoughts in the chat. And I am more than happy to answer any questions during any time. The next thing to think about is, where can you build your brand? Now, here's 3 channels that I've spoken about: LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. The YouTube is my TED Talk. My TED Talk came out 4 months ago. I already have more than 1,500 views and comments, and it's generated about 10% of my business leads. Now, my personal brand is being used so it can generate myself as a freelancer. As someone who's self-employed, I need work when it comes to workshop facilitation, podcast delivery, podcast hosting, public speaking. My Instagram, I've worked on, or I've had for the last 9 months. I've only really worked on for the last kind of 3 months since we really went into COVID. I have over 1,700 followers, and that currently is generating 15% of the opportunities and leads that I now entertain. My LinkedIn is 7,500. It's taken me 12 months to get there, and it generates about 75% of my leads. Today, we're going to be focusing on LinkedIn and Instagram, again, because it's to do with personal branding. It's to do with your vision, your mission, your values. It's also to do with the kind of culture and the kind of corporate that you are attracting. My advice to anyone is always to focus on 2 main channels. Your LinkedIn should be number 1 as your main channel, and you can have Twitter or Instagram as your secondary. The reason why both of them need to align is most importantly because when recruiters, when hiring managers, when companies are looking at you, they are searching you across each and every platform. So your platforms have to align. Your platforms have to be professional, and your platforms have to make sense. I have seen a question or a comment come through, so I'm just going to check the chat. How important is personal branding for your startup? Where is the fine line between promoting yourself and working on your craft, startup, or business? Thank you for that question. That's a great question. Personal branding is very important to your startup. The truth is that people buy into people. So, of course, it's important to focus on your startup as a startup, but it's also important to focus on you as an individual, why you've started a startup, why you are a founder. The 2 should be separate though. You should have a personal brand for you, i.e. I have one as Sonya Barlow UK, as in myself, and then I have one for LMF Network, which is my network. Those two shouldn't interchange, they are separate. That's because as your brand progresses, the comments, the statements, the sharing of your resources, tools, services, and what you are selling will also progress. And that should be on its own channel. Equally, as you progress as a founder, you should have your own identity because you are a founder of a business. You can also be a founder, a podcast host, a social media influencer at the same time. But if you were to reflect those different hyphens in your brand, in your business, in your startup, unfortunately, the communication and the voice wouldn't be the same. Personal branding is very important when you are trying to start a startup, a hustle, or a business in any capacity. To make it easier, you should have your own separate page, either on LinkedIn or on Instagram if those are your chosen channels, or on Twitter if that is your chosen channel. For you, when it comes to your LinkedIn, you should definitely have that you are a founder, either it's voluntary, either it's a side hustle, as something in your LinkedIn as a profile, but equally you should have all the other experiences that you have as well. Does that help? Does that answer the question? Are there any more questions, any more thoughts? I just want to make sure I cover everything that you ask. The fine line is definitely there. So when I first launched LMF Network, we had a different Instagram account, which unfortunately has been taken down because of some technical issues. So we currently have a new one that we've built over the last 3 months. My point being, when I launched the network, I didn't have a personal Instagram. So I used to do a lot of silly things, you know, on the LMF Instagram account that wasn't aligned to the business startup, but I was trying to mesh the whole I'm the founder, I'm the business vibe together. It didn't work. Honestly, it didn't work. And my team actually blocked me from our business Instagram and told me to make my own because it just wasn't working for our personal brand. It wasn't working for our community, for communication. And most importantly, they didn't really understand what I was trying to do. That's a real example of a founder who has messed up when it comes to not getting the personal branding right. And that's why I give the advice of have the 2 separate channels, have the 2 separate comms, and the same exercise we're doing currently for yourself, you should be doing for your brand as well. Fab. So on Instagram, 63% of users log in daily. There are 1 billion users monthly, and the average time that you spend on the platform is 28 minutes per day. There are 200 million business profiles that are visited daily, and 11% of users shop from Instagram. Now, I've highlighted LinkedIn, and I've highlighted it because it's so important. LinkedIn for graduates, for students, for business professionals is so important, and I'm a massive advocate. 80% of the opportunities come through LinkedIn. 80%. There are 600 million users on LinkedIn as of November 2019, spread over 200 countries. And the average person spends 10 minutes and 20 seconds on the site daily. Visiting 8.5 pages. That is shocking. That's amazing. That's exciting. It means that you have so much to play for. As a professional, think of LinkedIn like your online CV, and think of Instagram as your online portfolio or mood board, right? That's the 2 and how we're differentiating this right now. If you are coming out of university, if you are a graduate, if you are graduating, if you are a professional looking to accelerate your career, looking to start your career, looking to change industry, you need to have a LinkedIn, and your LinkedIn needs to be optimized. Your LinkedIn needs to be in a place where you are being discovered and you can be promoted. So when it comes to personal branding, what is your goal? Is your goal to position your business or your company? Is it to position yourself? Is it to offer credibility, to expand contacts, to source employees, to gain influencer status? What is it? This is really important. My advice is to only ever have 2 at the same time so you can expand on those 2 areas, but most importantly, so you can tone in your voice, your communication, and really target what you're trying to achieve. Last year, when I started focusing on my personal brand in January 2019, by April, I had already delivered 12 corporate workshops. I had delivered 1 TED Talk. I had given 2 European keynotes. I had grown my network to half the size of what it is now. But I was really noisy. I had my advisory board come on being like, we love what you're doing, but we don't kind of get it. We don't really get it because you're noisy and you're doing a lot at the same time. Turns out I was trying to do all the goals at once. Today, my main goal is to offer credibility. Credibility will bring opportunities. It will bring business. And secondly, it's to position myself as a thought leader. So when you think of public speaking, when you think of diversity, when you think of a woman in tech, business, or entrepreneurship, you think of me. When you think of someone that you want to lead your workshop, who's motivating, education, inspiring, you think of me. That's where I want to be, but I have to offer credibility at the same time. I have to make sure that I'm sharing the content that really makes sense. So again, only ever have 2 of these at the same time. Any questions before we go on? Because I am mindful that's a lot of talking and it's a lot of information that I've just shared. Again, if you have a pen and paper, please do this exercise as we go along. If not, take it away and think, right, I need to focus on my values, my vision, and my mission. And then I need to figure out what my goals are before I can really start building my personal brand. So today is the day to start a side hustle, a hobby, an online gig, a business, and your future. Today is definitely the day, right? Not tomorrow, not yesterday. Today, we will do it and we will go on this journey together and do it together. So the first stop is LinkedIn. How do you make a smashing LinkedIn? So I'm going to ask a question, and those who can answer, love it. I just want you to tell me, what do you think about my LinkedIn? What are your first immediate thoughts? Good, bad, ugly? What does it look like? If you didn't know me, what are you thinking about me? What comes to your mind? I want to know. If you could tell me in the chat, that would be amazing. Inspiring and inspiring. Good. Clear idea of achievements in the pictures. Great. Right. Any more? Any more for any more? Easy to read. Okay. Clear description of what you do. Right, perfect. So here's a prime example of a LinkedIn that's optimized or is in a place where it can be optimized. What that means is that you have 7.24 seconds, less than 8 seconds to make an impression. You want to make a good one. You want someone to really know who you are and what you're looking for. Now, obviously, I'm established, or I'm establishing myself. I have a little bit more credibility, right? But I'm still trying to gain more credibility, especially with those who don't know me. And so I have a relevant and clear profile pitch. I have headline, so clear hyphens, founder or CEO, TEDx speaker, keynote speaker, diversity expert, General Assembly instructor, right? You know what I do just by looking at that. A clear summary of experience and goals. Now, for me, this is really important because remember, my vision and my mission is public speaking. It's workshop facilitation. It's education. So I want to make sure that you know that in the title. I want to make sure that you know who I've worked with. I want to make sure that you know what my goals are and where you can get involved. As a graduate, it does not matter that you haven't done a TED Talk. It does not matter that you don't have profile pictures like this. That's completely fine. As a graduate, what you can do is you can make sure you have a relevant and clear profile picture. You can make sure that here you have studied at X university, gained Y degree, or you can have looking for opportunities in. I know when I'm working with grads, when I'm working with students, when I'm working with those who are transitioning in industry, if I see right at the top what they are looking for, it makes it much easier for me to help them and much easier for me to direct them to the right place, the relevant place for them, for their industry, for the work that they're trying to achieve. The other thing that I'd recommend here is to, yes, have a summary and a statement, but to list out what you've done at university, what courses you've done, what your degree results have been, where you've done your extracurricular, any successes that you might have. Successes don't have to be monetary. Successes can be getting a grade in an exam. Successes can be joining a university. Successes can be leading an initiative that's made an impact. If you want an easy way of thinking about it, I have something I kind of termed the 3 S's. So the first thing is your skills and your strengths. What are your skills and your strengths? Go crazy, write them down. For each skill and strength, write down a success. Now, a success story, right? Where have you successfully done that, implemented that, made a difference? And the last is your so what. So what? What's the results? What's the impact? If you can create lines and stories of these, you can then put them on your LinkedIn very clearly, so that when you want to go into that job, that first job, that second job, that third job, someone is looking at it thinking, right, here's what I've done. This is what I've tried to achieve here. There is no right or wrong way of doing it. There is just a clear and relevant way. Before I carry on, are there any questions about LinkedIn and about personal branding? So again, personal branding is ultimately saying to someone that you should pick me. It's about branding yourself so you are the go-to person in that position, in that industry, in that cohort. LinkedIn is one way of delivering a personal brand and making sure that you shine. How specific would you be about individual successes? I would be as specific as you can be. LinkedIn is for you to shamelessly talk about yourself. I'm not saying that through the content and the posts that you share. I'm saying that through very much through your one page. It's you highlighting yourself. If there are 600 million people on this platform, you want to make sure that you are one of the ones that are remembered, right? So talk about yourself, talk about your successes, be individual. X person has achieved Y thing and it's led to Z result. That's kind of the basic statement piece that you want to make, and then you want to go from there. My very, 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 very important statement that I'd like to make is this is a journey. It is most definitely not a race. It is most definitely something that does not happen overnight. Your LinkedIn will and should evolve. Your personal brand should evolve. Every 3 months, you should look back at your vision, your mission, your values. Every 3 months, you should look back at your LinkedIn, at whichever social media platform you are using, to make sure if it aligns with the branding, with the personal touch that you are trying to achieve, with the mission that you've set yourself, with the communication that you want going out, and align it so that it aligns very much with your most up-to-date current personal brand. Your personal brand will change. I graduated from a finance business school. I worked in tech. I then moved into technical consultancy. I then went into digital transformation. I'm now running my own business. I'm now a public speaker. That's all happened in 4.5 years. My personal brand has already evolved minimum 5 times since then, and it's completely okay. It just means that I have to acknowledge when I'm moving, when I'm evolving, when I'm transforming, and do the same with my personal brand so that it aligns to what I'm thinking and where I want to be, rather than having something completely different on your LinkedIn and expecting something completely different when you're applying for jobs. On Instagram, it's slightly different. So your personal brand is like your mood board. As you can see from the picture, I have attempted to make some kind of aesthetic that reflects my personal brand and my identity. I am a big advocate of the reds, the pinks in the world, the colors and the feeling. My LMF brand started with a coral and a pink, and though it's inclusive, that's still our statement color. So we are open to everyone. regardless of who you are, where you're from. It's just our statement color, right? So it represents our brand and our personal brand. As you can tell on top, it clearly says I'm a founder. It gives you a little emoji with my podcast. It tells you where I kind of am an expert in technology, business, and inclusion. And it has a direct link to my TED Talk, right? You know what you need to know about me. My highlights are done in a way that's professional and practical. And I am posting pictures that are informative, but at the same time, I'm doing motivational quotes in the brand colors of my choice. That is my new branding. That has evolved in the last few months based on the feedback that I've gained from others. What that also plays on, which you may not know, is I play on the words that when you go out to do anything that you are uncomfortable in, you must take your armor. Now, your armor is subjective. It is exactly what you want it to be. Sometimes your armor could be playing a really upbeat Drake song before you go out and do a gig. Sometimes your armor can be having a piece, having a note in your pocket that's meaningful to you. Sometimes your armor can be wearing your favorite shirt and tie, because that's what drives you and keeps you confident. The play on words that I do is I have an armor. I always have a colored lip, either pink, a nude, or a red, right? So I'm kind of playing with that in my personal brand. I've done a TED Talk. So again, TED Talk's red. So I'm trying to amplify what I'm associated with. The presentation that you're looking at currently, it's got a bit of color in it, but it's still going to have elements of my branding. And again, it's just so I can bring you on that journey with me. But like I said, it is an evolution. It is not something that starts and stops. It flows. If this doesn't work, we'll flow it into something different. But you want your branding to envision and to amplify what you're saying. So on LinkedIn, if I'm saying I want to be the public speaker and you should hire me, then when someone goes on my Instagram, they're looking at my mood board, they're looking at the motivation I'm sharing, how I'm feeling, what I'm directing into the space, into the energy. And ultimately, they're connecting the two dots and saying, right, her personal brand is reflective and honest in whichever social media platform she chooses. So when it comes to Instagram, again, it's very similar. Have a clear or relevant profile picture. Instagram's slightly different. I'm not trying to be super professional on it, so I can just have a profile picture that's relevant. Headline, what do you want them to know about you straight away? Well, I want you to know I'm the founder of this network. Click on it, go and check it out. I want you to know that I have 2 podcasts. I want you to know that I work in tech, business inclusion. I want you to know I'm a TEDx speaker. Very clearly shown. Equally, content, why are you sharing it? I'm sharing it to motivate, to inspire, to clearly build the values that I'm living by. Remember, I spoke about inclusion, confidence, energy, positivity. That is what I want you guys to think about. But that's because my long-term vision is to be the go-to public speaker. So if you're a public speaker, you need to have all of those attributes. Any questions before I move on Instagram? I personally thought that maybe this is a little bit more relevant, especially as you guys are a different generation and you're online, you're digital, and sometimes, most of the time, people forget to tell you how important your brand is throughout every channel. And that's where a lot of, unfortunately, graduates, really kind of fall between the cracks, because one channel doesn't match the conversation on the other channel. Cool, there's a question. Do you use your Instagram to share personal pictures, or is it more business orientated? How do you draw the line between sharing content in line with your personal brand but also personal? That's a great question. I do not have very personal pictures on my Instagram, and that is by choice. All my pictures have to fit in with my vision or mission. So I have to think, right, am I posting this? Is it talking about something that is relevant? i.e., is it talking about tech? Is it talking about business? Is it talking about inclusion? Is it talking about empowerment? Is it talking about equality? Is it talking about diversity? Is it talking about personal branding? Is it talking about mental health? Is it talking about positive energy and motivation? Right? That's kind of where I am with my Instagram. If it doesn't hit those, is it talking about these areas, then I don't post it. I also think it's very healthy to have a separation between your personal brand, your personal brand, and your personal brand online. And that's because that means I can keep some things to myself, and I'm not constantly online looking for kind of perfectionism, or I'm not constantly online and it's not affecting my mental health. So there's a lot about me from an individual state. Like, I don't talk about my relationship online because it's not relevant to my brand. But if you're a relationship coach, if you are a love counselor, if you are a therapist, of course that's something that you can talk about. It's just not relevant to my brand. But I do talk about mental health. I do talk about how tech industry is changing, how women or women of color are feeling in the industry, how my network is supporting community, how I've launched a podcast, or the you know, the cool things I'm doing otherwise. And again, I'm using it as a mood board and to showcase my portfolio. There is a lot of stigma and there's a lot of mental health problems and issues around personal branding and around being constantly online. If you are able to differentiate the reasons why you have a personal brand and really think about the social channels you're using and take your very personal elements out of it, I promise you it will make things easier. I don't feel the need to always be online because I'm enjoying my day-to-day. And that's significantly different on my mental health. How do you use more personal and direct aspects of Instagram, e.g. stories and lives, your advancements to your business contact? That's a great question, Freya. I, at the moment, because of what's happening in the world, I've chosen to take a little bit of a step back from my Instagram and not add to the noise that's already there. But generally, once a week, I was doing Instagram lives talking about topics to do with exactly that: inclusion, diversity, business, founders, kind of, you know, business leaders and founders. I've launched a new podcast called Strategically Winging It. It is exactly what it says on the name, the title. I am talking to leaders, founders, side hustlers, senior members, stakeholders in business about how they have strategically winged what they are doing. And I think for fresh graduates, that's a great podcast for you all to listen to, or for recent graduates, or for young professionals, because it just shares real perspectives from real people and reminds us that it's okay to fail and okay to make mistakes. I use my stories to amplify the voices of others to create more inclusive content, but I also create my own content so that I can very much share a message. So this one here, I'm full of positive energy. That's content that I created with clear captions, and if you swipe in the carousel, it has recommendations of how you can be an ally during this time. The new podcast shares the podcast. The ones that are obviously snipped here, that exactly how to use tech to build communities. It allows me to communicate in a real personable manner and share that to a different group of people that wouldn't necessarily be on LinkedIn, for example. I completely understand how important Instagram is for young professionals and how everyone is on it. Therefore, I think it's important we do talk about this profile, that we do talk about profiles on Instagram. I encourage people to follow me. I encourage you to send me DMs and questions. I encourage you to talk to me on this forum and this channel. And what I do really well, and what people in my network community do really well, is with Instagram, we can have a different reach. And so we tend to share each other's posts quite often, especially on stories, so that we can amplify the voices of others. And we use IGTV to do more interview style conversations so that we can share what is happening in the world, either right now or generally. So that's how I use Instagram to amplify my business. And like I said, it definitely has amplified my business. I have met new people that I wouldn't have. I followed new people that I wouldn't have. Just today, I was in an Instagram live at 1 p.m. talking about power, privilege, and kindness. I wouldn't have done that before, and I've spoken to a whole different market. So there is a real personal branding amplification that you can find through Instagram as well. So if you were to build your personal brand on Instagram, for example, I would say post consistently, at least 3 times a week. Try videos, live videos, stories. Study and use quality hashtags. I realized doing hashtag like good vibes or follow, you're going to probably hit like 30 million people. So it's going to be in the feed and really kind of throughout all the content. But if you do something like women in business or people of color in business or life as a techie or, you know, something more descriptive, or podcasters of Instagram, as an example, that will bring you in that business. I use hashtags like public speaking tips, LinkedIn expert, personal branding expert quite a lot. So it drives that kind of traffic to my profile. And when someone goes to my profile after the hashtag, they can see, oh, right, Sonya does what she says she does. Use user-generated content. It's really important to share and to engage with other content on Instagram because it helps you with your algorithm. Collaborate with others, post at your best times. Your best times, you know, through the data that's on Instagram, right? Same as LinkedIn, you know your best times, you know who you're engaged with. Use your analytics and engage with others. Here's an example of the analytics and the data that I've spoken about. This is analytics and data of LinkedIn, but it's very similar on Instagram. And as you can see, I'm jumping between the two platforms because I want you guys to know that it's super important to have both of them entwined, interlinked, and to make sure that your personal brand is communicated just as wisely on one platform as it is on the other. So here, for example, you can see that when people search me, mainly they're coming from business development, marketing, operations background. And where are they finding me from? They are coming from London, Australia. Knowing these stats, I've realized that if I have followers on LinkedIn or a market on LinkedIn from Australia, I have to be very mindful of when I'm posting. So now I post at 8 a.m. in the morning so that it can hit the UK market and the Australian market. And as a result of doing that, 3 weeks ago, I was asked by the University of Melbourne in Australia to deliver a workshop for them on how to build a community using technology and the power of personal branding. So I was able to use my personal brand, use the data and analytics to really grab the opportunity. Now, as someone who is a fresh graduate looking for jobs or career, you can use these functions in the same way. How you find them is if you go on your LinkedIn and your profile, it shows you how many people have searched for your profile. If you click into that, all of this will come up. So let's say that you know that the top functions that follow you are business development, but you are interested in being connected with those in art and design. On LinkedIn, you can use hashtags, art and design. You can message those directly to say, hi, my name is Sonya. I'm really interested in what you do. I'm looking for my next or first role in art and design. Do you mind giving 15 minutes of your time to have a quick call with me? Trust me, people are down to talk right now. And you can also know that if you are looking to, for example, move abroad to a different place, what connections you have from there, how you can connect with them, and if you can have those conversations. I have a client who works for a top consultancy. She currently works in the UK, but she'd like to move to Hong Kong. So what we're working on with her is to get more connections, demographics following from Hong Kong so that she can start sharing content associated in relation to what is interesting in their environment, their community, so that when she goes for applications and for applying for the jobs, she has clear understanding of what the market wants, what the community wants, how they discuss online, and some connections. This is not only available on LinkedIn Premium. No, I don't have LinkedIn Premium. I wouldn't encourage LinkedIn Premium because it's expensive. And if you're a young professional, a side hustler, entrepreneur, sometimes you don't have that kind of money. These are free stats that are available on LinkedIn on your profile. If you go on your profile, just under your heading, there will be on the left-hand side, it will say, this is how many views you've had this month. If you click into that number, it will show you the stats. That's a really good point. You do not need premium analytics for any of this. Instagram has free analytics. LinkedIn has free analytics. Use the analytics. If you don't know how to read analytics and you need more help in that, drop me a message on LinkedIn or drop me a message on Instagram. I'm happy to set up another time to take you through that. So don't worry about that. I can either do that as a cohort, as a community, or I can do it in a one-to-one. It's completely fine. It's really easy, but it will make a big difference to the way that you approach personal branding and your personal brand. So ultimately, when you are thinking about your personal brand and you are thinking about building a personal brand, you are answering the question, why should someone engage with you, right? Why should someone engage with me? Why did Oxford Brookes Enterprise Support ask me to host this webinar today? There are so many other people they could have asked, but why did they ask me? What is about my personal brand that makes me significantly different or allows me to be the thought leader that they think of? Same way, when you are applying for jobs, you are constantly thinking at the back of your head, why should someone engage with me? Why should they pick me? They should pick you because you're relevant and you're clear. They should pick you because you have a clear communication when it comes to personal branding, a clear voice, and you know what you want, and that is reflected through your mission, your vision, and your values. And they should pick you because you are constantly and consistently talking about the same or similar things across social platforms, right? 3 things when it comes to personal branding that we've already spoken to through today. Again, any questions, any thoughts, please just dive into them. Now, we're coming towards the end of this session. This is what I want to leave you with. We are all online, right? We are using technology. We're using it to our advantage. We are experiencing this new virtual kind of realm that we're all living in. That's really good, and it can work to your advantage. I have a 3-2-1 rule that I've trademarked last year that really works. So I always say that when you go to any networking opportunity in person, I want you to think about the 3-2-1. So I want you to have 3 conversations. Of those 3 conversations, I want you to connect with 2 people on LinkedIn. And of 2 people in a month, I want you to have a virtual coffee or a coffee with 1 person, right? That is what I was asking people to do when they were offline. I'm asking you and challenging you to do the same thing when you are online. So if you've aligned your mission, vision, your values, if you know where you want to be in the next 18 months, if you are aware of the type of areas you want to work in and who you want to work with, I would encourage you to start these conversations when you are joining webinars and workshops. As an example, through the LMF network, we hosted 21 free webinars in April. We had over 780 people join. And every time they joined, we asked them to introduce themselves, what they're looking for, how they can help someone else, and their social network. People were connecting, they were adding each other, they were talking to each other, conversations were being had. Even here in this chat, you are here for the same or similar reason, right? Have these conversations, connect with one another. So now you've conversed, connect, and now you've connected, feel free to be brave and just drop someone a direct message and say, hey, I would like to go into the industry that you're in. I would like to do what you're doing. Do you have 15 minutes to have a virtual coffee with me, to have a phone call with me, so I can ask you this question, so I can learn about this area, so I can pick your brain on this topic? If not, completely fine. I just wanted to ask. I promise you people will say yes, because I get those conversations all the time, and I now have a calendar specifically for people to say, yes, I will, I'd love to. I personally have done it during this time, and it is a great feeling to connect and to have connections, but also it is building your personal brand. It is allowing someone to know more about you. It is allowing you to know some more about them, about the industry, about the competition, about the collaboration, about the community. And it is building the essence of personal branding and giving you that voice and that confidence to connect with others. Right, we've got a question. What should I mind when I try to build my personal brand on LinkedIn? I think you should mind being the same as someone else. I think it is absolutely great to gain experience and to gain inspiration from other accounts, but please do not try to mimic someone. You should be authentic and you should be yourself. So your voice should be yours, not somebody else's. You should also mind that if you are doing a lot on LinkedIn and it's very messy, that people who are listening, reading, interpreting won't necessarily know what you stand for. So definitely think of, if you were to summarize your experience in 5 hashtags, what would they be? And once you've done that, those 5 hashtags are what you're going to use when you do LinkedIn content, so that it drives the same or similar type of person and environment and community. And the third thing that you should mind is don't spam. LinkedIn algorithm does not work with spamming. If you are posting 7 times a day, you will not get anywhere. So try and post about 2 or 3 times a week, same as the advice I gave for Instagram. Keep things consistent, keep things clear and relevant. and make sure that everything has a call to action. And what that means, if you're posting something, an article, make sure it says, you would love to read this article because XYZ, right? Tell people what they should get out of this post. If you're posting something about yourself, that's great, but why are you posting it? Do you want a coffee? Do you want them to email you? Are you looking for opportunities? Let someone know in your post what you're looking for and have a clear call to action. Hopefully that helps. And I always leave my sessions with a challenge. So here's a challenge on how you can build your personal brand. Week 1 and week 2, I want you to update your profile and everything that we've spoken about, and to like and engage with content. If you would like to, drop me your profile. I'm happy to check it, put it in my calendar. Let's kind of see how that works. Week 2, 3, and 4, I want you to post at least once a week. I want you to post, I want you to share other people's content that they've posted, and I want you to actively connect with others. If you are connecting with people, feel free to drop them a message and say, hey, I'm connecting because I really am inspired by what you are doing and I would like to follow. Or if you're connecting with them on Instagram, feel free to DM them and say, really inspired with what you're doing. I just want to follow you and gain some advice or experience or inspiration. It's completely fine. And week 4 onwards, I want you to post twice a week. I want you still to share other people's content. I want you to connect with others. And if you're brave enough, I want you to start sharing your stories or lives. Now, sharing your stories on LinkedIn means sharing blog pieces, sharing articles, sharing great stuff that you've done at university, after university, or now that you are looking for a job. And sharing lives on Instagram means exactly that. It means jumping on. If you don't want to jump on necessarily, but sharing again through your stories, more about yourself, right? Your story is exactly that. Your storytelling, you're sharing your successes, you're driving people towards your personal brand, and everything connects back to your mission, your vision, your value. If you can get those 3 things sorted, and then if you can start building a personal brand on the back of that, it will make a big difference in everything that you are doing. There is a question, so I will just go in it. Perfect, just a many thanks. Yeah, perfect. Anything else? Obviously, like I've said, please do not hesitate to reach out. Know that I am here to help. Know that I'm here to support you in building your personal brand. As I've mentioned, personal branding is why I am sitting here today. My personal branding is reflected in my Instagram and on my LinkedIn. My personal branding starts with understanding my mission, my vision, and my values, and ends with consistently sharing things online. And most importantly, not being afraid to try. It is not a race. It is an evolution. It is a revolution. It is a slow walk. It is a journey. It's a story that you are going on, that you will be on. It most definitely does not have an ending in sight. It's something that will evolve. And so you have to enjoy the experience rather than get too caught up that things aren't working straight away. Some things don't work. Even now, sometimes I post, I get no interaction, and 2 weeks I posted and it went viral, right? It went viral to the point where LinkedIn have now contacted me and are asking me to get involved with things they're doing internally. So you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who's watching. You don't know who's seeking, but you do know that if you start putting the seeds in today, you will definitely get to a place where you want to be. Your personal brand will help you, will elevate you, will support you, and you will win and achieve the goals that you've set yourself. So again, my name is Sonya. I would highly recommend you all to connect with me on LinkedIn, to follow me on Instagram, to help me elevate your personal brand. If there's anything on LinkedIn you would want me to share, I'm happy to do so. Just slide into my DMs. If there's anything on Instagram you want me to share, again, slide into my DMs. Tell me how I can help you. Don't be afraid, and make sure that you connect as much as you can with others so that they can connect with you, so they can learn from you, so they can understand how they can help you, and you can be in a place of kind of this collective community. This isn't the end. There are questions, but I just wanted to kind of really tone that point in and summarize it in a really positive ending way. If I put some references, will that satisfy the ethics? Yes. Do you mean references as recommendations, so people that have referenced you? Or do you mean references to posts that you have posted and you just want to reference them, for example? So if you could elaborate, that would be great. if it's the first, so if you put in recommendations and references, that is great. On LinkedIn, you can actually give people recommendations and you can give them a reference if you scroll down, and that will definitely help you. How you do that is if you go on a profile, i.e. let's say we connect and you go on my profile, next to my page and my headline, there will be more. If you click on more, you can say request a recommendation, and someone can give you a recommendation if they have one in place. So of course, that's always a positive, and that's the way to do so. The reason why I haven't included that is because that's secondary. Until you have optimized your top half, it doesn't matter about the rest of it. Your top half of LinkedIn is your profile picture, it's your heading, your summary, your summary contents, and making sure that you have all the relevant up-to-date jobs that are there. For each job, you should have at least one summary statement line or 3 bullet points of what you've achieved. Until you've done that, the rest doesn't matter. Once you've done that, of course, you should have references, you should have recommendations, you should have your skills being shared. But if your top profile is not optimized, it will not make any difference. Any other questions, any other thoughts, comments, queries that you would like to share?
Whilst everybody's maybe thinking of some questions, I had a little one. So lots of books and podcasts out there on personal branding. I was wondering if you maybe had any recommendations on further reading for people.
Yeah, so there are some great ones. I am a big advocate of Tech Talks. So it's hosted by a good friend of mine, Dave Savage, and that personal branding element comes into play, talking specifically about how leaders and senior leaders have gained and created their personal brand. There are definitely books on personal branding, ones that I can't remember right now, but I can definitely send them your way. That might be more helpful, and I'll send you a list. For example, Emma Gannon's multi-hyphen method is really great. My biggest advice when it comes to personal branding is reading is great, listening is great, but nothing is more impactful than doing. So unless you do and unless you take action, you won't really know what works for you and works for everyone else or everything else. So give it a whirl. Take this initiative. So for example, I've already given you a challenge and a simple way of starting. See if this is something you can take into play, use it in your everyday life. In terms of reading material and podcasts, I'm happy to send some through because I have a list of them. It's just my mind is on blank. And also follow the hashtag personal branding on Instagram and on LinkedIn. Follow personal branding cheerleaders, change leaders. There is a podcast on Spotify that has, I can't remember the name of that either, which is crazy. Long story short, let me send it to you all because
that's great.
I can't remember right now, and that's probably not the best thing.
No worries. I mean, I think you've probably actually covered everything. There doesn't seem to be too many questions. We're coming towards the end of our time, so maybe we could round it off with, maybe you have a bit of advice for our class of 2020.
Yeah, class of 2020, please don't worry. Don't worry. Enjoy the journey. Make as many mistakes as you can now that you are entering the workplace. Don't be afraid to share your opinion, but make sure your opinion is always backed with facts, evidence, or data, whatever that may look like. And know that what you are, most importantly, know that who you are today will change over time, and that is absolutely okay. Who I was at university and who I was when I left university, I was not as vocal, I was not as confident in my workplace, and I should have been and I could have been. And now I encourage everyone to make mistakes, try to do as much as they can, and just to say yes to everything. Say yes, try, fail, speak up, don't be afraid, and enjoy the journey that you're on, because now as you leave as graduates, in 5 years, you will be significantly different people, and hopefully people for the better. So you have so much learning coming your way that you know, you just want to soak up as a sponge. I guess I'm sorry. I feel like I'm getting quite like nostalgic about it all, because it's beautiful that that you're graduating. I remember when I graduated, I'm still friends with people at university. We're actually having a university quiz tonight on our university, which is quite cool. But I'm quite nostalgic because no one really tells you when you are graduating and when you are fresh, like going into the world of work, what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. I think a lot of fear is put in graduates. I don't want to put fear into you guys. I just want you to enjoy the journey, to make mistakes, to learn from failing, and to not worry about getting it wrong, but worry about not giving it a try. And I echo in my TED talk, actually, you know, if you listen to it, you will find out that I actually did not pass my probation, my first graduate job. It's okay, because I learned, and I'm still here where I am. Don't worry about it.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Sonya. That was a really great session. I think you gave a real insight into not only the importance of personal branding, but actually what that means and how we can use it. Especially with Instagram and LinkedIn, I think that's taken a whole different approach that maybe a lot of us haven't considered before. But on that whole LinkedIn idea, I just want to remind everybody that next week we're going to be welcoming back one of our Brooks alumna, Nat Cooper. And she's going to be discussing her journey as a freelancer and delivering a whole session on how to use LinkedIn to create meaningful connections in order to best position yourself for a successful career. So hopefully you can take some of the stuff we've learned today and put that into practice with Nat next week. And I can see that Sonya has also shared her LinkedIn. So make sure you connect. Feel free to drop your LinkedIn links as well in the chat, and keep the conversation going online. Oh, thank you so much, Sonya. And thank you to everyone.
Thank you so much.